Testing, 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 testing. Okay, hello everybody, and welcome. All right, that's fixed itself. Thanks. Hello and welcome to the May 2026 monthly update. I have to be a bit quieter because my dad has just gone to bed, even though it's only just gone 22 past 8. Because he is a train driver and so has to get up early at times. So it's going to be a bit quieter. But today has been a very good month for me. I've been on a holiday, of course, to Montenegro, which was very, very nice indeed. I would like to start by showing you a little video from that holiday. It's just a little bit of amusement, so we'll do this. That was my little dada. As you can see, very, very beautiful country. I enjoyed my visit there very, very much. I did bang my head on a mountain. That was my dad in the video, by the way. I don't know if I did literally just said it, and you've seen him before in other videos. But yeah, it was very nice there. I very much enjoyed it. Like I said, I banged my head on a mountain at one time, which was not the most fun I've ever had. But apart from that, it was very nice. Lots of cats around, so I've quite a few photographs of cats. Some of which were friendly, some of which weren't. Um, but they were all very cute. Some of them were a bit ill, like there was one with a big sort of growth on the side of it, which was quite nasty. Fed it anyway, of course, because that's the kind humane thing to do. But yeah, it was very unfortunate to look at because they're all sort of stray and they're looked after in the sense that they're fed, but I don't think they're very much looked after in the medical sense. There was that one with the growth. There was another one with it had clearly like stepped on something. Like I don't know if it stepped on a nail or if it's clearly hurt its paw because there was like a hole through the paw and it was limping. So there were unfortunate aspect to it, but for the most part they were very clean and healthy and very nice, and all of them were cute because they're cats, obviously. So that is that. It was very nice. As for things I've done this month, I've released the very first music track in over a year. It was February 2025, the last time I released any music, and I've released a track now called Through a Gap in the Fence I Witness a Murder. There are two links in the description. The first one is to the Bandcamp page for the song. Again, song, there's no words to that, so I don't know if it counts as a song, but to the track, and then there's the YouTube link as well. And to create, there's only one instrument on the entire track, and it is this, which is one of those buzzer, sort of hand buzzer things. You wear it a bit like a ring, like that, and then someone shakes your hand, and you press the button, and it creates this noise. And so that track, Through the Gap in the Fence I Witnessed a Murder, which is a title, by the way, that I have a list on my phone of like song titles, so if I think of something I can write it down, and it's one of the oldest ones. I must have thought of it several years ago. Through a Gap in the Fence I Witnessed a Murder, and I just thought it fit the sound of this track, because I took that sound of the buzzer and I slowed it down and added reverb and other effects to it to get it to what it is, because obviously that sound is only a few seconds long, and the track is 8 minutes long, so obviously I slowed it down quite a bit. But yeah, that is actually the only sound on the track, is that, just manipulated in different ways to create the kind of ambient sort of drone sound that it has. And the album cover to the track is another picture that I've just had for ages, just like the song titles. I have a bunch of album or like pictures to use as album covers that I've just had for ages, and that's one of them. I think I took that photograph. I don't know when. I mean, again, I couldn't tell you when I took the photograph, but it was many years old. That photograph. It's a table, just sort of like the kind of table you'd have outside a pub, where it's just like that metal look with the sort of the circles on it, and that's and the sort of shadow is just my reflection in the table. So yeah, but that's that. I quite like the track. Obviously, it's not particularly upbeat. It's quite a somber track, especially when you take the title into consideration. But yeah, I quite like it. I'm quite happy with it. I don't know when any more music. I've tried to record another song since then, like a proper song that I wrote while I was in Montenegro, and it's about my experience staying in Montenegro. It's called Hotel Budva, because the town we stayed in was called Budva. But and it's about the good and bad, like all the cats, but also banging my head on a mountain. It's a sort of autobiographical song, and I can't even work out the chords. I tried it on guitar, I've tried it on a keyboard. I can't find the right chords for the song that I have in my head, so it's a bit frustrating, but obviously I'll keep giving it a go every now and again, but I don't know how long it'll be until I release any more music. I don't know. But yeah, that is that. I've been to the charity shop again this month. I've only got 2 things. First one, of course, another tie. A simpler one. This one isn't quite as interesting as some other ties that I've had through the years. OBS seems to be having some trouble. There it is. It's dark blue with light blue and yellow stripes. And obviously it's a very sort of simplistic tie, but you need simplistic ties to sort of balance out the crazy mental ties, don't you? So that's that. And I've also gotten a very nice waistcoat, which, again, I don't know if you can see it, but it's a kind of very dark green. I don't know if you can even see it on camera. That's probably the best way to look at it. It's a very dark bluish green. It's mainly green with a bit of blue in there. And the sort of inner lining is that very nice sort of purple and white circular design. Or they're actually kind of like little stars, actually. But yeah, it's very nice, and the other bit of the lining is purple as well, like the back. But yeah, it's very nice. I very much like this waistcoat. And that's all I have to say about it. That's all the only things I've actually bought this month. I've added a couple more things on eBay. I'm trying to tackle this pile in my room now because it's just getting ridiculous. And there's like electronic toys in it that just make noises whenever I walk past it. It's really, really annoying. In fact, I might be able to record this for you. I don't know if you can hear that. That noise happens whenever I walk past it, and it's like whatever's making the noise is in this chest of drawers, which is covered by the pile, so I need to get the pile. So I've put a couple of things in the pile on eBay. I can show this off, I suppose. If anyone watching is interested in Top Trumps Club Penguin edition, that is now for sale on eBay, as is Scooby-Doo Scooby Snacks card game. The boxes to both are a bit damaged because obviously they've just been in this big pile being sort of moved about continuously for several years. But I've never played any of them, so all the cards are in pretty much completely mint condition. So if any of you are interested in either of those, just go on eBay and search them up. You won't necessarily know which one's me, but you'll you'll be able to buy them anyway from me or from other people. I'm not going to say I have necessarily the best prices because I want to get a good amount from them, but I've currently got them. I think the Club Penguin I've got on sale for I think £5, and the Scooby-Doo game £13 because that's what they're apparently worth according to what people have paid for them on eBay. So if you want them, you can buy them there. That is that. So now for things I've read this month. It's been a pretty productive month for reading. In fact, I've read more this month than I've read any other month so far this year by a very, very slight margin. I realise I've forgotten to post the link to the fact that I'm live streaming on Discord, so I'm going to do that now. Come on. My computer is slower than the speed of dark at the moment, so I do apologise for this delay. So we're going to start with how my reading goals for the year are going so far. As you can see, I have nearly finished them, or as you will be able to see if OBS functions. I've told it to transition to there we are. So as you can see, my reading goal book-wise has nearly been met, 95%. I've currently on the 20th book. I haven't finished it yet, but there we are. Once I've completed that will be done. And also, by the end of next month, I believe I will have finished this goal as well. I've only got about, about 500 pages to go. And I've averaged 800 the last 2 months. So I should have reached that goal by then. And I should also say that I'm going to be doing the monthly update this month for June on, as it should say here, on the 28th of this month, of June, because I'm going on holiday on the 29th. I'm going to be away until like the 3rd or 4th of July, so I won't be able to do the update on the 30th or the 1st, which is what I normally do. But yeah, by then I will have reached these goals, and then we can set them a bit further and see how we are on that. So that is the reading challenges. Now onto the actual books that I've read this month. I've read 4, which is what I've averaged all of the months apart from, I think it was March I read 3, but Yeah, it will have been. But the first one, Doctor Who and the Zarbi. Now, this is of course based on the book, or not based on the book. It's based on the Web Planet, which is actually a story that a lot of people really hate, but I defend because I quite like it. However, the book is actually, I think I enjoyed less than the story, simply because it's another one of these ones where it's pretty much just a direct translation of the script. I felt the same way about it that I did about An Unearthly Child, where it's just like the script but put in book form. They didn't really change anything and make it very interesting, and it's not. I don't think it's written particularly well. I don't think Bill Strutton is a particularly good author. So yeah, I was quite disappointed by it. I mean, obviously, I've given it a 3 because I didn't hate it by any means. It's still a good story inherently, so I enjoyed it in that way. But it just wasn't that interesting to read because it's just a direct translation of the TV script into book form. So it's not. Yeah, it's not. Definitely not the best Doctor Who book I've ever read. So I've given it a 3 stars, and clearly most people aren't too enamored with it either, although I've given it a higher rating than the average. But yeah, it was alright, but not fantastic, so a 3, so, bang in the middle. The next book is the next Larry Niven one, which is a short story collection called The Flight of the Horse. I've given this a 4. It is the highest rating I've given to any of his short story collections, because most of them, like the first half of it reads more like a novel than a short story collection, because they are all involving this fella, Hayville Svets, or just Svets as he is referred to throughout the book, who is like a time traveller, and it's not set in Larry Niven's regular known space universe. It's its own standalone series, but it's all him going back in time into like this fantasy universe where there's unicorns and dragons and stuff, and it's very interesting in that regard. And then the second half of it is less about Svets. There's one about that I think is set in the known space universe where it has like the displacement booths, which actually have a much bigger part to play in the book of his I'm reading at the moment, which is A Hole in Space, which is another short story collection that's a lot more about the displacement booths, but they're also in one of the stories in this. And then the final story is in his sort of fantasy universe, which I think is The Magic Goes Away, which I haven't read that book yet, but I think it's set in the same universe as the final story in this, because it does involve magic going away. It's the universe where like the amount of magic in any given area is like finite, and if a magician spends too much time in one area, he can use up all the magic in that area. And so that's, again, it's a very interesting universe, but because the first half of it is, and those later stories are also very good, but the thing that's mainly that I've given it this 4-star rating for is the fact that it's about Svets. Not the fact that it's about him, but the fact that the first half of the book, or the first like 2/3 of it, read more like a novel than a short story collection. Even though they are all short stories that were published at different times, they all sort of tell one continuous story. And so it reads more like a novel for the first half of it. And yeah, I liked it quite a bit, hence the 4-star rating. It's a really interesting world. He had an explanation for it at the end of the book for why it becomes a fantasy universe when it goes back in time. Something to do with time travel being more fantasy than science fiction. Which makes sense, I suppose. But yeah, it's very interesting. This is another one that I had to add myself because this particular edition didn't exist. These first 6 letters here in the description, IAHFN, were typed by me by mistake. They're not actually part of the description of the book. The description starts there, but they're there because for some reason when you're adding when you're trying to add something to this, I can't remember what I was trying to write. when you try to put like the language and the publisher in, it automatically snaps back to the description. So I was trying to type English, and I was trying to type the publisher, which is Ballantine Books, and that ended up putting all those letters in there. And I thought I'd removed them, but obviously I didn't because they're still there. So yeah, that's not actually part of the description of the book. That was me trying to add the. Yeah, it's not a perfect website. It doesn't, it has a bug, and that is one of them. That when you're trying to type the language and type the publisher, it keeps snapping back to the description. So you'll be typing there, and then suddenly you'll be typing in the description, and it's rather annoying. So you kind of have to type it in one letter at a time. Just click but, to type in English. So click E, click N, click G, and that's one of the problems with this website. But anyway, I very much enjoyed this book, and I gave it 4 stars, which is the highest rating I've given any of the short story collections so far. So there. Next book is the next in the Moomin franchise, or the next in the Moomin series, is Moominland Midwinter, the 6th Moomin book. And again, as with most of the other ones, I've given it a 3.5 because it is, again, like Comet in Moominland and the Memoirs of Moomin Papa. It tells one continuous story as opposed to being a short story collection. I just enjoy the continuous stories more. I know that the next book is a short story collection. I think it's Tales from Moomin Valley. So I'm still looking forward to reading it because they're really, really good books. But I suspect I'm not going to enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed the full novel-length stories because I just enjoy them more. But yeah, this is. I mean, I might say I enjoyed this one the most. I've still only given it a 3.5, which is the same as Comet in Moominland and some of the others. But I might have. Obviously, I didn't enjoy it more enough to give it a 3.75. But I think I may have enjoyed it just a smidge more than the other 3.5s. Like I might have given it a 3.6 if that was an option, but it's not. So I had to stick with the 3.5. But yeah, I think this probably was my favourite Moomin book so far. Just not enough to bump up the rating another quarter star. But yeah, very much enjoyed it. This obviously is a very popular one. People have given this. I mean, the Moomin books all have pretty high ratings compared to like the Doctor Who books and the Larry Nivens for whatever reason. I don't know why. People just seem to generally enjoy the Moomin books more. So the ratings were always really high. It's 4.3. Definitely not that good. 3.5 is, is my opinion. These will all be Japanese people who read it because they're really obsessed with Moomin in Japan. Which, fair enough. I mean, it's better than some of the other things they're obsessed with over there. But yes, this one was very nice. I enjoyed it a lot. So having said that, I do apologize for yawning. 3.5, very good book. Like I said, probably my favourite Moomin book so far. There we are. And then the final book I've read so far this month, obviously I'm halfway through another book already, Hole in Space by Larry Niven, another short story one. But the final book I've read is a Target book. This is one of the more recent Target books, published in 2023, as it says there. Warrior's Gate and Beyond. Now, the original Warrior's Gate was published in 1982, I believe, to coincide with the story of the same name, which was released in 1981, the television story. But to fit the Target book format, he had to trim it down quite a bit. So this book not only contains the untrimmed version of Warrior's Gate, written in 1981 or 2 or whenever it was written, the unexpurgated version, but it also contains 2 short stories set in the same, obviously all Doctor Who set in the same universe, but continuing the story, because, spoilers, at the end of this story, Romana leaves, along with K9, Mark II, and Laszlo, who is one of the Tharals, whose eyes I believe you're seeing here. That might be Birok, but it might be Laszlo. I think it is Birok, actually, but Laszlo is the one who Romana runs off with. Woo! But yes, so there's 2 short stories. The first one is The Kairos Ring, which has Romana and Laszlo continuing, or I mean, I don't know can't remember who they're fighting in it, but they're, their story is continued, and then there's another one called The Little Book of Fate, which again has Romana and Laszlo meeting the Eighth Doctor, um, who obviously hadn't even been conceived when the original book was written. So that's like it's nice how it sort of jumps ahead a little bit, and you get to see the Eighth Doctor meet Romana, and after she's regenerated, and so they don't recognize each other immediately, because of course he's regenerated as well, obviously. Um, but yeah, and that again, it's a little bit more, and it's just nice to see more of. I mean, I know Romana's adventure is sort of continued in the Virgin New Adventures, um, but obviously it's nice to see it in this as well. Um, I don't know if the way her story is continued in this book is is canon to the way it's continued in the New Adventures. I don't know because I haven't read any of the New Adventures yet. I only own one, and it's kind of set in the middle of an arc, and so I started reading it when I first got it and didn't really like it because out of context with the other books, I don't really get it. But whatever. But yeah, as you can see, I've given this a 4 stars, which is the highest rating I've given to any of the Target books. I really, really love this. I mean, it's definitely my favourite Target book I've read so far. The short stories at the end help. They certainly add to it and may have contributed to that 4-star rating. But even just the normal book, the Warrior's Gate part, without the and beyond, even that I still think is probably my favourite Target book I've read. So, but definitely the short stories add to it. I mean, there's only like maybe like the last fifth of the book is those short stories, but yeah, it's really good, really really good book. And the only other Doctor Who book I've given a 4 is System Shock, which is one of the Missing Adventures, which was my very first Doctor Who book I ever read, and so that one. This is probably actually a better book than that, but that one I've given a 4, partly because I really do enjoy it, but also partly sort of it has a very good big place in my heart because it was my very first Doctor Who book that I ever read, and like my first book that I ever read like as an adult. It was the book that got me back into reading as an adult because I read all the time when I was a kid, and then I kind of fell out of reading, and it was System Shock that got me back into reading. So that got a 4 for partly for that and partly for being a really good book. This one has got a 4 just for being a really good book. So this is probably actually my favorite Doctor Who book. But yeah, I'll just say that it's tied with System Shock. But yeah, I really really loved this. I don't know if Stephen Gallagher has written any others. I don't think he has. Uh, yeah, because this is Stephen Gallagher, John Lydecker, which was his sort of pseudonym that he used to publish the original. Oh yeah, he wrote Terminus as well. I've heard that's a really crap one. Riptide, that's a Doctor Who one. Some of these weren't written by him, so I don't know why they're here. Ray Bradbury, he definitely didn't write that. I guess these are short story collections. What is Chimera? Is it the same Stephen Gallagher? Who wrote, is it the same Stephen Gallagher? Warriors Gate? Chimera, yeah. Alright, and he wrote a book called Follower as well. So yeah, he has written other books. I might have to read these then. These like proper standalone books that he's written. That's very cool. I might have to read some of them because he's really, really good the way he wrote this. But yeah, that's that. So my favourite Doctor Who book that I've read as of the moment. So that is books that I've read. Now on to, I believe, this is just the reading statistics for May. So as you can see, 4 books, which we just looked at. 805 pages, which if we go here, means I've read more books this month than any other month this year. Because last month, in April, I read 802 pages, and this month I've read 805 pages. So that is, of course, more than I read. Just those 3 extra pages. I've just beat last month by 3 pages, which is very, very cool. Average time to finish 8 days, which is, again, has just been my average for the whole year. Moods, mostly adventurous, a little bit dark, a little bit tense, a little bit light-hearted, a little bit hopeful. Those will be the Moomin books, the light-hearted and hopeful bit. And the adventurous. Pace, mostly medium, a little bit slow, a little bit fast. All under 300 pages so far. I do intend to try reading Red Mars again, because I didn't stop reading it due to lack of enjoyment. I stopped reading it due to taking a very long break and forgetting what was happening in the book. So I would like to try and read that again. All fiction, obviously. Mostly science fiction, a little bit fantasy, a little bit children's classic short stories. Format, all print. I don't really read digital, and I don't have a Kindle. I can't imagine getting any enjoyment out of it. All books in English. Average rating for this month is 3.63. One book 3 stars, one book 3.5, one book 4. Very nice. Or 2 books 4, I should say. I do apologize. And as you can see, this is how many pages I've read and how many I was reading. So as you can see, not doing that much reading early on in the month. A little bit, but not as much as I would like. And then I went to Montenegro. We flew there on the 8th. The plane there was on the 8th, and the plane back was on the 18th. And as you can see, as I was in Montenegro, I did quite a bit more reading. I finished the Zabi there, and I started The Flight of the Horse, which I finished on the plane back. But as you can see, so that I was doing a bit more reading on holiday, and then I got back, dipped again a little bit, but then we started having some very, very nice weather outside. And so 78 pages, 50 pages, 46 pages, and then as a complete coincidence, and I didn't fudge this at all to make it cool and even, this is genuinely what happened. On the 27th and the 28th, I read 107 pages. Just completely coincidentally, on those 2 days, I each read 107 pages on the 27th and 28th, which I just think is a really cool little bit of coincidentality. And then dipped again on the 29th, and then 30th a little bit up, and then yesterday just down because we didn't have any nice weather outdoors, so I was just reading indoors, and obviously I don't really like that as much as reading outdoors, so I only read 8 pages. But having said that, as you can see, it's been a pretty good month. Beat last month by 3 pages, so that was very good. If we have a look at the little collage thing, this doesn't really reveal any new information. Books 4, 805 pages, average rating 3.6. Highest rated reads are these ones. Average book length, these are new. That's new, I think. 202 pages is the average book length. Average time to finish, that's all the same. And that stuff is all the same. And then overall reading stats for the year. My current reading streak is 159 pages, or 159 days. As I've already explained, there has been the odd day where I haven't read anything, but then I've sort of caught up the next day. So I've cheated slightly on this, but it's not like I'm saying I've read when I haven't. I suppose that is what I'm doing, isn't it? But it's like, say, if I read 0 pages on one day and 10 the next, I might donate 5 of those pages that I read on the second day to the first to keep the streak going. I do appreciate the fact that that's cheating, but it's my channel and it's my Storygraph account, and I'll do what I want. Thank you very much. But yeah, as you can see, 19 books read so far, 3,472 pages, 8 days. Mostly adventurous, bit light-hearted, bit dark, bit funny, bit challenging, and a tiny little bit tense and reflective and hopeful. Mostly medium, then fast-paced and then slow-paced. Page number and fiction same as before. Mostly science fiction, bit fantasy, bit children, bit classic, bit short story. Format the same. Most read authors, Tove Jansson with 5 books, Malcolm Hulke and Larry Niven with 3 books, and Terrence Dicks with 2. Languages, All books are in English. Number of books and pages. As you can see, I've read 4 books every month apart from March, where I only read 3. So 4 in January, 4 in February, 3 in March, and then 4 in April, and 4 again this month. And as you can see, the number of pages that I've been reading: 560 January, 686 February, 619 March, and then 802 in April, and 805 in May, meaning this is the most pages I've ever read, I am pretty sure, in any month ever in my entire life, I think. Very nice indeed. And then the average rating of the whole year so far is 3.53. 1 book, 3 stars, 4 books, 3.25, 9 books, 3.5, 2 books, 3.75, and 3 books, 4. So that's been pretty good, actually, hasn't it? But yeah, that is all the reading I've done this month. Very, very nice. I'm sure you'll agree. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know how your brain works. But yeah, that is that. Then on to things I've watched this month. Now, I've watched more than this, but I've only linked one thing, which is something that I watched with my mum, which I don't normally do. I normally only link stuff that I've watched sat here at the computer, but I wanted to talk about this film because it's really interesting. It is a David Attenborough documentary. Now, me and Mum have been going through all of David, well, not all of it, but a lot of David Attenborough's stuff. And this one I just wanted to talk about here because how really interesting it is. It's called A Blank on the Map from 1971. And it is basically David Attenborough on an exhibition, on expedition. I can't speak English. It doesn't help that I'm purposely trying to keep quiet because my dad's trying to sleep. And the link that I've posted there, by the way, is not the actual link where I watched it. I have it on DVD, which is obviously in slightly higher quality than the link there, which is just a Dailymotion thing. But I just thought I'd link it just so you can watch it. But yeah, A Blank on the Map, 1971, is David Attenborough being part of the expedition to meet an previously uncontacted tribe. And it's really interesting. It's sort of like it's Cannibal Holocaust, but with the good ending where they meet and they get along and they like have a friendly meeting and they do some training and stuff and they learn some words for this tribe because they didn't. The only word they knew in the tribe's language was the name of the tribe. They didn't know any words, and so they learned some words just by like pointing at the thing and saying what it was. But it's really interesting because not only is it not the kind of thing you do anymore, not only is it not the kind of documentary that would be made nowadays, because it'd probably be referred to as racist if it came out now. It's not racist, but it would be referred to as that, and it would be referred to as offensive because they're sort of talking down to the tribe in a way, or they sort of, it's like this big, civilized white man going to meet these little, so you wouldn't be allowed to make the documentary now, but also you wouldn't be allowed to do what's in the documentary anymore, because nowadays I believe the general idea is you don't go and meet uncontacted tribes, you just leave them alone and let them get on with their thing. So it's the kind of film which not only would it not be made, but also you wouldn't even be able to film it because you wouldn't be allowed to do what's in the film anymore. So it's really interesting in several ways. And it's just a really, really good documentary, and I'd recommend anyone watch it because it's interesting as like a historical document, as something that you wouldn't be allowed to do or make a film about anymore. But also just the actual content of the film, of them meeting this tribe and how they make their way through the jungle to find them, and then how they communicate when they do meet them, is just really interesting. It's one of the best documentaries I've ever seen, actually. And obviously with David Attenborough, the standards are set very high. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. We also watched, a couple of days later, that was actually the last thing we watched before we went to Montenegro, and the first thing we watched when we came back was Attenborough in Paradise, which is a 90s one where he went to see the birds of paradise in wherever it is. I didn't link that one here just because I didn't think it was as interesting. Not as interesting to talk about. It's just like regular David Attenborough talking about animals, which is obviously is lovely, but it's just kind of we know David Attenborough talks about animals. He finds a way to do it in this as well. In A Blank on the Map, he finds a way to talk about animals in a sort of break when they're all having a rest. They've been walking through the jungle for hours, and they're all taking a rest, and he wanders off on his own just to go and have a look at some birds, which is quite nice because obviously, even though the documentary is not about animals, it's about this uncontacted tribe, he still finds a way to make it about animals, which I quite like. But yeah, that's A Blank on the Map. Really, really fascinating documentary, and I recommend anyone who's either just a fan of David Attenborough, who's obviously just gone 100 this month as well. Happy birthday, by the way. He turned 100 on the day we flew. We flew on the 8th, and it was his 100th birthday on the 8th. So that was really cool. But yeah, it's just a really fascinating documentary, and I recommend anyone watch it. Now onto the albums. I've listened to 5 albums. The first one was Brian Eno's Nerve Net, which is like an electronic sort of it's not an ambient album. It's like quite a fast-paced album. I didn't like it all that much. It's very 90s. It's very of its time, and it's got the sort of the drum sound and stuff that I'm really not a fan of. And it, you know, it's just got that kind of sound to it that I didn't really like. But the next album, The Shut-Off Assembly from 1992, is just an ambient album, and I think it might be my favourite. I'm not really going to say that, but it's one of my favourite of his ambient albums that I've listened to. It was really, really nice. And I actually started falling asleep towards the end of it, which for me is like, an ambient album is good when because I wasn't tired, but I just, you relax, and it nearly put me to sleep, this one. So that shows you how good that album is. Like I said, I don't know if I'd say it's my favourite of his ambient albums, but it's really, really good. And then I listened to 5 minutes of his next album, Neroli, which was 93, I believe. But I just wasn't in the right mood for it. And I skipped through it because it's 50 minutes long, and I skipped through it, and it just sounded like it was just the same thing for the whole time. And I really wasn't in the mood to just sit there listening to the same kind of thing for 50 minutes. So I'll pick that one back up later, but not now. And then I listened to 3 Frank Zappa albums. The first one was Just Another Band from LA from 72. They're all from 1972, actually. First one, Just Another Band from LA, which was with the Mothers of Invention, and it was a live album. Might be the worst Frank Zappa album I've ever heard, or possibly the worst album I've ever heard ever. I really, really hated it. The first side of the album, 24 minutes, is a track called Billy the Mountain, which isn't even music. It was like a sketch. It was a musical sketch. It was basically just, I can't remember, I don't know who the guy is who's talking. It's not Frank Zappa. But this guy's talking is just telling a story of this mountain who marries a tree. And the band is only there to sort of give the occasional sound effect. Really boring, crap. Dreadful, awful, evil. And then the second half is a bit more musical, but it's still, wasn't in the mood by that point. After the first half hour put me off. So really crap, awful, dreadful album. I'll never listen to it again. Then I listened to Waka Jawaka, which is just a Frank Zappa solo album, not with the Mothers of Invention, which is meant to be the sequel to Hot Rats. I still didn't like it all that much. I actually listened to that first before Just Another Band in LA. I've put them this way, in this order, because this is the correct order, but I listened to them in the wrong order. I listened to Waka Jawaka first. And I just didn't like it as much as Hot Rats. It seemed a lot, I don't know, there was just less that is in my sort of musical sense, the kind of music that I enjoy. There was just less of it. Hot Rats was much better. Again, this is one that I will listen to again at some point in the future. I just really didn't enjoy it on this first listen. And then I listened to another one that he did with the Mothers of Invention called The Grand Wazoo, which I believe was his final album of 1972. I don't know why I say these things, because I don't know. This was better. It still had some of the sort of musical comedy stuff that they were doing in Just Another Band from LA. And I didn't like that, but it was mostly like proper music. and so I enjoyed it a lot more than the other two, and that'll definitely be one that I think I add to my phone to have another good old listen to in the future. But yeah, that is that. That's all that. The plans for next month, as I say, the monthly update will be happening on the 29th or on the 28th, whatever it was I said the first time. The 28th, the June monthly update will be happening because I'm going on holiday the next day. In regards to the gaming channel, I know I said uploads were gonna, like live streams were gonna resume last month when I got back from the holiday, and the uploads were gonna resume today. That's not gonna be happening because as we've had some very nice weather this month, I've been outside pretty much all the time since we got back off holiday and haven't had time to record any videos, so obviously uploads aren't going to be resuming this month. I don't know when they will. Again, it's just going to be a situation of I will start live streaming and I will start uploading again when I feel like it. Digby has started his new job, so obviously that's limiting how many live streams we can do together. And the nice weather and the fact that even though the weather has sort of calmed down a bit, and the weather forecast is saying that for the next few days we're not actually going to have particularly nice weather, so I might start recording again occasionally, but I don't think I'm going to start uploading again this month. But yeah, that's the general rule, is that I'll start uploading again when I start recording again, and I'll start recording again when I'm in the mood for it, which I'm not at the moment. So, yeah, having said all that, I hope you guys have enjoyed your May. I hope you enjoy your June. I hope you enjoy the rest of your life. And I hope you've enjoyed this stream, and I'll see you in the next thing that I do. Whenever that will be, I don't know. Goodbye.